Welcome back to The Beat. I'm Stephanie Rule. Brett Kavanaugh's accuser revealing the personal toll this story has taken on her in the past week alone. Her lawyer saying she is now the target of vicious harassment and even death threats. Her family was forced to relocate out of their home. Her email has been hacked and she's been impersonated online. There have been public attacks on her credibility as well.
I think this woman, or whoever she is mixed up.
Her allegations cover a whole range of conduct from boorishness and to rough horseplay to actual attempted rape.
Why are we just hearing about this now?
Given the age of the charges, what's the standard for credibility?
This was in the early 1980s. It's now 2018. She was 15 years old. She's now 51. There is ground for some suspicion there.
Forgive me if I think it's all hogwash.
Oh, heavens. Those criticisms echo the attacks on Anita Hill a generation ago. You think we got better? You think things changed? Years ago. Here's what she said about what happens when alleged victims go public.
There is great risk for women who come forward. I don't think we understood that in 1991 the way we do. We know that people will, their reputations will be trashed. They will be accused of being vindictive or angry, disgruntled, a whole range of things, of accusations.
It's actually worse. We understand what happens, and so many people don't care. Joining me now, Douglas Wigdor, who has represented numerous sexual assault victims, and former sex crimes prosecutor Cynthia Oxney. Cynthia, critics are asking, why didn't Ford come out sooner? Yes, I know there's no appropriate time frame, but given the specificity, how close we are to midterms, the confirmation, this is all getting conflated with a whole lot of really important politics.
It's normal for victims not to come out right away, and she did come out some time ago, 6 years ago, basically. She has what we call in the sex crimes business several outcries, and those are the different times you tell people. And now we find out today that actually there's a woman on Facebook who's written it was common knowledge at the time that this had happened. So there have been outcries. She has talked about it. She did bring it up before he was nominated on numerous occasions. And so the fact that it came out late really isn't that important to me at this point. Here's where we are. Here, and what we need to do is find out what the truth is. That's where we are right now.
Doug, is it typical for an assault victim who comes out, and granted, this is very public, it's very controversial, but to get death threats for her family to have to move out of their home?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately it is. I represented the maid in the Dominique Strauss-Kahn sexual assault rape case, and you'll recall that she received death threats, I received death threats, my partner received death threats from people who are just sitting home watching TV and are crazy. And when she was in police custody, actually, the New York Post even ran a story, this is the maid, calling her a prostitute, saying she was actually turning tricks while in police custody. So these are the types of attacks that go on to sexual assault victims who try and come forward. When they proceed in court, they need a strong lawyer. They need someone by their side who protects them to make sure that defense lawyers and other people don't attack them.
It is fair to say that in the grand scheme of Me Too, which is not just plain sexual assault, there are gray areas. But Mark Judge, that's the writer who was in the room supposedly with Brett Kavanaugh and with Professor Ford, wrote in 2015 about what he calls, ready for this one, a middle ground between a woman saying yes and no. He writes, if that man is any kind of man, he'll allow himself to feel the awesome power, the wonderful beauty of uncontrollable male passion. Hey, Mark Judge, FYI, for guys who women want to sleep with, there ain't no middle ground, brother. We say yes. What in God's name is this man talking about?
Well, it's not...
The beauty of the uncontrollable passion?
Well,
please.
It's not only Mr. Judge, actually. If you look at Judge Kavanaugh's yearbook, there are things in his yearbook that are troublesome as well. I mean, I've seen his yearbook that purports to be his yearbook entry of the clubs that he is a part of. The 100 Keg Club, there's a reference to the...
okay, but a lot of people can say dopey things when they're 17.
Yeah.
Mark Judge wrote about this as an adult.
There's one thing apparently in Kavanaugh's that calls the Devil's Triangle, which apparently is some reference to, you know, 2 males and a woman. So there are a lot of reasons why I, as a sexual assault victim's lawyer, really believe what has come out thus far. But, you know, your prior segment, you said it right. They don't want her to appear on Monday. They don't want Dr. Ford to appear on Monday. And when her lawyer came on TV Monday and said she would testify, I believe I had said there won't be a hearing Monday because I don't think Kavanaugh would go through it. I think they took the foot off the gas pedal. I think that Dr. Ford and her lawyers. I believe that they should proceed to a hearing on Monday or some form to get her message across, because right now nobody's heard her speak. She hasn't said anything under oath, no affidavit, nothing. What I think would, if she were willing to either go before the senators in the Judiciary Committee, or if she were willing to meet with them privately, if she were willing to be interviewed by somebody like yourself, if she were willing, if she were willing to sit down with her lawyer to ask her questions that could be videotaped and shown to the public. The public right now, I believe, wants to hear her voice. They want to see her. They want to hear her, and then. And
that's when we start to understand what credibility.
Right, but it's more than just that.
I think Judge Kavanaugh will. I think he's happy that she's not coming on Monday. I think he is, because I don't think he would ever show up to that hearing.
Hold on, we don't know that she's not showing up on Monday. We know that her first request, her state of play, is she wants an investigation. Cynthia, final thought, because you're truly an expert at this. We've heard the suggestion from some Republicans that because all of the Republican senators on the Judiciary Committee are males, this idea has been floated. She could be questioned by some of their female staffers. To me, who is not a victim, that sounds absurd in that these men can't possibly ask appropriate questions without having their knuckles drag across the ground, or is just sitting across a table from them too jarring for a victim.
No, all they care about is the picture for re-election, and that's the only thing that matters to them. But let me say quickly, I think she should testify because it's part of her healing. Because what's happened to her is that many years ago, her power was taken from her, and if she lets the internet trolls take her power again and force her not to testify, she's never going to heal. She needs it for catharsis. That would be my advice to her. She needs to come testify and use her voice to say what happened to her.
And she should have. I mean, Anita Hill, when you see the pictures of Anita Hill back in the 90s, she didn't have a lawyer sitting next to her.
Poor Anita Hill had her parents have to hear all that.
There should be a strong lawyer sitting next to Dr. Ford to make sure that there's no grandstanding by senators. Somebody who will cut them off, somebody who will say, that's inappropriate, Senator. You cannot ask that question.
Cynthia, I want to continue this conversation, but since Doug brought up that Devil's Triangle, I'm sick to my stomach and I need to take a break. Cynthia, Doug, thank you so much. I mean, that is hardcore gross. All right.